My life has taken a 180-degree turn, and honestly, it feels like some sort of nightmare, even though it has been over a year, and I am trying to move past this incident. But still, whenever I think about what happened, I try to figure out what led to such a disastrous situation that destroyed my happiness and shattered my trust in women. I am a 44-year-old man living a comfortable life. I have a good job at a reputable company where I work as a production supervisor. The pay is great, and I am happily married to my sweetheart, Ella. I had been married to her for 11 years, and honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better partner. She was funny, incredibly supportive, mature, and understood me like no one else. My bonding with my wife was so great that I considered her more of a best friend than my spouse. If I had any problem, I shared it with her, and she always came up with the best solution. Also, she was incredible at calming me down. Whenever I was stressed or pissed off at someone, she would gently massage my shoulders and my feet. So, you get the picture that she was my go-to person for every tiniest problem I faced. Ella, I, and her daughter from their first marriage were a happy family. We rarely had arguments or heated debates at home. Ella's daughter, who I'll call Emily here, treated me like her father and never implied that I wasn't her biological dad. I had a good bond with her, and I considered her my daughter. Anyway, so my perfect little family got all fucked up and left me bitter and a miserable man, all thanks to my wife, who decided to cheat on me. I swear there was nothing wrong in our relationship that would have led Ella to cheat on me. I earned her respect, respected her, and always treated her with nothing but love. Plus, I was super nice to her daughter. It honestly sometimes drives me crazy as to why she decided to cheat on me. And she had been so discreet about it that I might not have learned about her affair unless someone else told me. Here's how I found out what Ella had been doing behind my back. I came home from work, and Ella was all dressed up nicely and looked gorgeous. She informed me that she was going to a friend's birthday party and would be late at night. I was so tired that I didn't go to drop her off, and she went there by herself. I watched TV for a short while and reviewed some important documents. But a few minutes later, I passed out on a couch for about half an hour, and the sound of the doorbell startled me. I went to open the door, and a lady was standing outside. I asked her who she was, and she told me she was Carol and worked at the same firm as my wife. I told her that Ella wasn't home and that she was off to a party, but she said she needed to speak to me urgently. I invited her inside, and Carol was hesitant about whatever she wanted to say. She told me that she was Ella's junior, and that Ella and some guy named Jared were in a relationship. At first, I thought I had misheard her, but she told me that she wasn't lying and that Ella and Jared had been sleeping with each other for over a month now. She told me that they are very discreet in the office about it, but once they are outside, they bang each other in the hotel room that Jared books for them. I was angry with Carol and told her that she was spreading rumors about my wife, and if my wife and her AP were so discreet, how did she know about their affair? Carol kind of expected this reaction from me, so she told me that Ella's AP was involved with her sister. He dated Carol's sister, took her to the same hotel room, and used her to satiate his thirst for his never-ending desire. After that, Jared slept with Ella and cheated on Carol's sister. I was shocked when Carol told me that Jared even clicked a few naked pictures of her sister and then blackmailed her for money. Carol told me they had given him thousands of dollars so that he would delete the pictures. She said she came here so Ella wouldn't have to go through the same turmoil her sister had. I still didn't believe Carol, and she asked me to come with her to the birthday party where Ella had gone. I didn't want to go. Because I trusted my wife, I needed to confirm if Carol's accusations were right. So, we both went to the party. I didn't enter the venue. I just stood at a distance where I could observe the attendees. Carol pointed towards my wife, who was in the arms of a man. The man was caressing her bare shoulders and leaning forward for a kiss. Carol told me that Jared had only invited a few people from the office, so they were goofing around without fear of getting caught. I told Carol to go inside the party and capture pictures and videos of my wife and Jared together. She refused to help me at first, but I insisted and told her that if she wanted to help Ella and me, she must do as I said. We exchanged numbers, and Carol promised to click as many pictures as she could. When I came back from the party, my head was spinning. I couldn't believe that my wife of over a decade would betray me like this. I retired to my bedroom, but kept tossing and turning in bed. The images of my wife in other men's arms kept me awake the entire night. Carol kept her word and sent me plenty of pictures of Ella and Jared hugging and kissing each other. She also sent me a few videos where it was evident that Ella and Jared could hardly keep their hands off each other. Carol messaged me that Ella and Jared had left the party earlier and may have gone to the same hotel. I was infuriated by those pictures and decided I did not want a wife who was not loyal to me. I had decided to divorce her. Ella came back late at night and was in a good mood. I asked her how the party was and if she enjoyed herself, and she responded that she had an amazing time. I really wanted to confront her at that moment and kick her out of my house. But I wanted to wipe that smile and satisfaction from her face. She thought she was so smart that she could sleep with a man behind my back and continue living with me like nothing was wrong. The next morning, I filed for our divorce, and after that, I called Carol to ask for a favor. Carol had told me that Jared takes every woman he dates to one specific hotel, and the staff gives him one specific room. He was their regular customer. So I asked Carol if there was any way she could plant a camera in that hotel room. I wanted concrete proof that Ella and Jared were sleeping with each other. Carol instantly refused and said she didn't want to get involved to this extent. She shared her concerns that Ella was in a senior position at work and she couldn't do anything that would make Ella angry and jeopardize her job. I understood her concerns, but didn't give up on my plan. Instead, I asked a hotel employee to do this favor for me. I bribed him with a handsome amount, and he agreed on the condition that no matter what happened, his name wouldn't be revealed. I promised him, and he placed the camera in the room where Jared and Ella would get wild. By the end of the day, I got the camera back, and it was nauseous for me to see my wife with someone else. I even realized that maybe that hotel employee had also enjoyed the free adult show, and that thought made me sick to my stomach that my wife had become the source of enjoyment for men. That day, I wanted to hit Ella so bad and teach her a lesson for thinking of me as a dumbass because I didn't know what she was up to behind my back. A few days later, I decided to catch Ella off guard and tell her I knew about her affair, but I wanted to incite her anger so she would say offensive things to me and I could save it to strengthen my divorce case. So I took Ella's daughter Emily out for coffee and clicked a few selfies together. Next, I messaged those images to Ella, and she sent me a smiley emoji. I replied, "You had your fun. Now it's my time to have fun with Emily," she said, attaching a wink emoji. I sent her a few pictures from the party where she was with Jared. Within a few seconds, Ella responded, "Get away from her, you bastard." I deleted the messages I had sent her for everyone and erased her last message. Lucky for me, she sent another message, which was something I could use against her. "Do as I say, or I swear I'll shoot you and blow your brains." I took a screenshot of this message to keep it as proof. I called Ella and informed her that I had filed for divorce and didn't want her to stay under my roof. She gave me an earful and suggested that we sit down and talk, but I was certain that no amount of talking or listening would justify her cheating. She had slept with another man, and there was no forgiveness for that. Ella had accepted that I would divorce, and there was nothing that could change my mind, but I wanted to see her suffer, and I had a plan ready for that too. The following week, after our confrontation, I went to Ella's office to meet her boss. When Ella saw me in her office, she asked me to leave and not create a scene there, but I pushed her aside and told her I was there to meet her boss. Ella's boss loved having her on the team. She was among the most appreciated employees, and I felt pure joy to ruin that image of a good employee. I showed the boss a few selected pictures and videos of Ella and Jared that proved they were sleeping together and violating the workplace's policy of no romantic relationships between employees. I told the boss I wanted to leak these pictures on social media and tag the company for such a workplace culture, but I didn't do it because I hoped he would better decide what to do with these employees. The boss called Jared and Ella into his office and confronted them both. He told Ella that he didn't know she offered other services after work, or else he would have contacted her and compensated her generously. The boss was still swiping and enjoying my wife's obscene pictures with her AP. Ella felt disgusted and kept giving me death stares, but I enjoyed the confrontation. When she could no longer control it, she snatched the phone from her boss's hand and tried deleting those images. But I quickly took my phone away and told her that she should have thought about the consequences before cozying up with her AP. The boss fired Jared and gave him an earful for having extramarital affairs and cheating on his wife. As for Ella, he wanted to fire her, but I requested that he not fire her because then I would have to support her and follow other obligations regarding alimony. The boss agreed because he had already engaged Ella on an important project and didn't want to remove her in the middle of it. He also hinted that he has many other projects for Ella in mind. But before I left, her boss ensured that I agreed to sign an agreement that I wouldn't share any of Ella's pictures until she was associated with the company. Once Ella's employment with this company ended, I was free to do whatever I wanted to. He also warned me that he would press legal charges against me for breaching the agreement if I violated the terms. I agreed and told the boss to email me the agreement and I'd sign it. Once I left the office, Ella ran after me and she cursed me for insulting her in front of her boss. She told me that now she would deliberately resign from her job so that I would have to pay for her alimony. I told her to go ahead and resign because that would allow me to leak her pictures and I would show her pictures and videos to Emily. She clenched her teeth and wanted to hit me for having the power to humiliate her in front of her daughter. And finally, I played my last trick, the trick I had been saving for the last and itching to show her for so many days. I showed Ella the message where she had threatened to shoot me. Her eyes widened when she saw I had a screenshot of that message and how I intended to use it. I told her I could send this screenshot to my lawyer and tell him you threatened to kill me if I didn't provide you with spousal support. Seeing Ella helpless and trapped in this situation made me feel so peaceful and triumphant. She could not escape this mess except for agreeing to my terms. She told me she would get back at me, but I told her she better not, because I could easily turn her daughter against her and convince her to live with me. With all her might, she clenched her fist and hit me on the lips, and it bled. I gave her a death stare and told her I would inform my lawyer about this incident, and she left. At that moment, I felt victorious and extremely happy for making Ella suffer as much as I did when I learned about her affair with that jackass Jared, who was married and had been fooling around with plenty of girls. Ella and I divorced, and everything we had or purchased was split in half. I had to lose the house that I loved because of that woman. But that's okay. At least I don't have to live with an unfaithful woman with whom I had been nothing but loving and supportive of whatever she did. But even after our divorce, I don't feel at peace with myself. I feel as if I resent myself for whatever happened and try to find a reason to blame myself for whatever Ella did. Sometimes I even think that maybe I wasn't good in bed, leading Ella to find that pleasure in someone else's bed. Carol often texted me to ask how I was doing, and it felt nice talking to her. She even apologized, saying she didn't mean things to turn out this way. I told her I was indebted to her for making me see what was happening behind my back. And had she not informed me about Ella and Jared's affair, I would have likely remained completely unaware to this date. Carol had told me that Ella had resigned from work because the boss had been lurking over her the entire time and never let go of a chance to hint that he was entrusted with getting inside her pants. Ella was irritated at work. The boss went to great lengths to make her agree to sleep with him. He would ask her to work past her off time or nitpick about everything she did. But Ella had no choice but to endure. She knew that her boss could inform the upper management about her affair with a colleague, and she would be terminated instantly, giving me a chance to leak her pictures or sue her for threatening me. I told Carol that I was happy that she was suffering. She had a perfect life, and she threw that all away for fun with a married guy who was also notorious for his playboy-type personality. Carol and I had started talking daily. She told me that her sister had undergone therapy for a couple of months to get over this incident, but she still had trust issues, which had adversely affected her dating life. I shared my feelings with her about how I felt miserable at times, and deep down, I blamed myself for whatever happened. Carol suggested that I go to therapy because whatever happened wasn't my fault. It was Ella and Jared's fault, and they were paying for it. I asked Carol if Jared was still married, and she told me that Jared's wife had divorced him and kicked him out of her house. His wife had learned about his multiple affairs because he had been diagnosed with genital herpes. She left him, and now Jared works with his sister in her cafe and sleeps in her apartment. All of this chaos had had a significant impact on Emily. She became depressed because Ella and I are divorced and now live separately. Emily and I still keep in touch, and we try to meet once a month for a meal together. She is bitter towards Ella and holds her responsible for separating their little family. Emily has hinted several times to me that she wants to make up with Ella and forgive her, but I guess Emily doesn't know that her mother was the toy of a guy who had slept with dozens of other females. I haven't shown her any pictures or videos of Ella. I don't want her to get more miserable with Ella and suffer in her studies. Whenever Emily brings up this topic, I gently tell her to forget it and focus on her studies. I want her to do well in her graduation exams and get a good GPA. Without these issues weighing her down, she can have a better future. So, I try to help Emily stay positive and motivated to succeed in her studies. I don't want her to get stressed or suffer in school because of the problems of her parents' failed marriage. Carol and I were already talking daily, so I finally mustered the courage to ask her out on a date, and she said yes. She's been incredibly understanding and supportive of my situation, and she tries her best to counsel me and help me regain my trust in women. I'm not ready for any serious commitment. She is okay with that. We are both taking this relationship very slowly. I need time to get over my failed marriage, and she needs to focus on her career. Carol still works for the same firm Ella worked for, and she got promoted a few months ago. I am happy for her. She is a nice woman, and I hope we both have a bright future together. Ella's infidelity or sneaky adventure cost me a lot, and I had to pay a hefty price. I lost my family, which I couldn't even imagine living without. My wife, my best friend, and above all, my marriage of 11 years. I hadn't even imagined in my wildest dreams that I would divorce the woman I loved so dearly. But I guess life has its own way of surprising us. Well, I got my revenge on Ella and made her suffer. Jared also paid a price for acting foolish and getting his wife to kick him out. But amidst all this mess, Emily lost the most, and I feel deeply sorry for her. She'll still be my daughter, and I'll provide my unreserved support to her for as long as she needs me. As long as she needs me. As long as she needs